Hey Archery Talk, this is Lucas, and welcome back to the videos after a bit of a summer break for myself. And right now we're going to get right into arrow building, and this is my new hunting arrow setup. This will be my setup for this year and probably the next several years to come. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of my general rule of thumb with archery products. And we'll kind of walk through my building process for myself this year. We'll start with the arrow, and that is the Easton Axis Long Range. And this is the match grade setup. So that is the straightest possible arrow that Easton makes. This is a 0.001 thousandths of an inch straightness. And this one weighs in at 9.8 grains per inch. I have cut these arrows down to 28 and about 3/16 of an inch. We've got the standard insert on there. I've got some Annihilator 100 grain broadheads. And I've got Flex Fletch Pro 2.5 vanes on here. Each of these vanes weighs 5.6 grains. All told, this completed arrow is about 455 grains. I did a bunch of experimenting to get this set up exactly how I liked, and so we'll run through some of that for you right now. Primarily, I was debating between a 3-fletch and a 4-fletch setup. And so I've done a bunch of testing over the past several weeks, just with accuracy and with broadheads and without broadheads. And you know, the bottom line is I've kind of ended up going with the 4-fletch setup. I did most of my testing initially without broadheads, just shooting field points and out, 20, then 30, 40, 50, and out to 60 yards. And I honestly was not seeing any real difference or any noticeable difference at all realistically as far as groups go for me at any of those distances. Any variance is more on the shooter than on the components of the arrow as far as I can tell. And so they all shot great, and so I was not quite sure I was going to see a big difference until I put on the broadheads. And even then, I wouldn't say the difference was big. I would just say I had an easier time getting more arrows tuned how I wanted with the 4-fletch. So with the 4-fletch arrows, everyone that I shot, and I had 6 of each, all the 4-fletch arrows I shot were grouping together, at the distances I would be comfortable hunting with broadheads. The 3-fletch, I probably had 4 of the 6 were kind of grouping in the center, grouping together how I'd want, and 2 of them were more a little bit flyers. And so ultimately I just went with the 4-fletch. The 4-fletch gives you a great opportunity to kind of like do nock turns to kind of really fine tune your tuning of your arrows if you really need to do that. And so because there's 4 fletches, you've got 4 different kind of positions, and you can kind of just rotate your nock to get the spot that you want. With your 3-fletch, you can still do that. You've just kind of got 3 different areas to go with. Both realistically work fine. I just like the options I get with the 4-fletched arrow in this setup. And for me, that's ultimately what I went with. The weight difference was really just around 5.5 grains total difference per arrows. So the 3-fletch arrows were weighing in about 450, 449.5-ish, and the 4-fletch were in around 455, as I mentioned earlier. And the finished product is an arrow that is shooting absolutely as good as I can shoot. Quite frankly, their arrows shoot better than I do. As I would expect from almost any arrow setup, realistically, let's be honest here. Yeah, I shot this with broadheads, out at my archery club, Peel Archery Club in north of Toronto, Ontario, and out towards 40 and 50 yards with broadheads. I didn't like to shoot much farther than that with broadheads there. I've got a small broadhead target. I don't want to chew up the club's targets or anything like that. I did a bunch of testing here at Canada Archery Online, just with my own kind of at 20 yards in the range in here, rather with my own target again. Just to see, again, what grouped well for me, and it turned out to be this setup. I'm a big fan of Flex Fletch products. I have been using their vanes for many years now, particularly on my outdoor target arrows, my kind of micro diameter arrows that I use for, FIDA or World Archery 50 meter, or if I'm doing field archery. I use the Flex Fletch 187s. Those were recommended to me many years ago by a professional archer named Dietmar Trillis, who was a member at my club at the time. And so he told me I should shoot those, and I shot those because he knows more about archery than I do, and I've been shooting them to this day. Again, they've never let me down. And what I love about the Flex Fletch vanes is that, if you, let's say you hit into a soft target and they get chewed up a little bit, and they get crunched up, and they'll all kind of they might look a little wonky for a little while, but then if you, put a little blow dry on them, or sometimes just leave them out in the sun, and they'll straighten right back up again. You don't end up with kind of ripply looking vanes long term. I did notice one small difference in noise between the 3-fletch and the 4-fletch arrows. Not major difference. I did find the 4-fletch made a little bit more, wind disturbance overall, but again, I think that's a pretty small difference. And quite frankly, if a deer's going to hear the 4-fletch arrow, he's probably going to hear the 3-fletch one as well. Just a small thing I picked up on my own. But yeah, beyond that, I'm super happy with this. I've got, yeah, I mentioned these Annihilator broadheads. I've never shot a fixed blade broadhead that grouped this well for me. I've shot these arrows out of a number of different bows now. Tonight I was using the Prime RVX 34, but you know, I've shot these with the Bear Whitetail Max. Got great results out of the same thing. It's a great setup. It's a great arrow setup for me, and I suspect I'll be using the same thing for many years to come. I might tweak the broadheads, something new comes out, because you know I like to play with some stuff now and again. But bottom line, archery talk, this is the arrow for me this year, and hopefully for several years to come. So thank you so much for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel an awful lot, and we'll see you again soon.